while the minority there is demanding a parliamentary probe into the assault on some of the residents in Wa. Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu says the act of impunity by the military is undermining public confidence in the armed forces. Minority MPs today have been in red armbands on the floor protesting these attacks. First, Deputy Speaker of Parliament has directed the Defence and Interior Committee to visit Wa and deliver their report within 4 weeks. Let's take you to Parliament for what transpired.
There appeared to be a worrying development in the country which borders on the safety and security of Ghanaian citizens, largely led by men in uniform, the Ghana Armed Forces. We have not put Ejura behind us yet. We know that there were some excesses there that resulted in loss of life following the death of Ibrahim Kaka. And then, Mr. Speaker, only yesterday, as I watched some developments in Wa, a very peaceful city in our country, and there is indication that military-civil relations is at its lowest ebb, and the undermine is led by men and women of the Ghana Armed Forces. I understand that a civilian probably snatched the phone of a man who was a mufti. Then subsequently, the military mobilized to the ring road leading to the KJTR in Wa. Mr. Speaker, I didn't know there is a road called KJTR in Wa. So there's a ring road in Wa which leads to KJTR. And you could see men of the Ghana Armed Forces beating and humiliating Ghanaian civilians. The rights and freedoms of those Ghanaians are guaranteed under the 1992 Constitution. Whatever grievances any member of the Ghana Armed Forces has, we are a country governed by law. They cannot continue to take the laws into their hands. We will not accept a state of normlessness in this country, a state of lawlessness led by men in uniform. Mr. Speaker, what is important is that it is not just for those who were beaten. I understand that one person got his leg fractured, and many have been hospitalized, many have been injured. Mr. Speaker, is the fear and panic created in the society, which hitherto is a peaceful society. What kind of relationship is the Ghana Armed Forces wanting to have with the civil population of Ghana? And don't forget, your uniform and your number of ammunitions will not be enough to contain a civilian rejection that enough is enough. So this is not a matter where apologies will be enough for these purposes. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm raising this so that the visibility of the military has been a matter that we have raised on the floor of this House, not forgetting the sacrilege of what happened here, even with the invasion of this House by military, the 9th of 7th January. Mr. Speaker, you see daily soldiers in uniform, police. We know their duty as defined by this Constitution. Maintenance of law and order is the preserve and mandate of the police. Territorial integrity for the Ghana Armed Forces. Where necessary, they can keep the peace, but they have no moral duty to undermine the peace.
Parliament, and then we got ourselves cocooned in the facility pursuing some business. And I didn't come out until after 12:30 a.m. Today. So the issue that the leader of the minority is raising, unknown to me, I heard from him when we had the pre-sitting meeting this morning. Otherwise, I had not heard at all. I had not witnessed it. The Speaker, As I said, we got ourselves trapped in a room pursuing some other business. So this might have happened on my blind side. I want to believe that the minority leader is raising this in his capacity as a member of parliament, performing his representational function, not only as the minority leader, but as a member of parliament. The Speaker is talking to matters that, as we heard him, occurred in Wa. The member for Wa is not in the chamber. But I want to believe that the minority leader is adequately and sufficiently informed about the matter he's speaking to. And I think the statement can be accommodated under Order 72, which relates to matters of urgent public importance. Mr. Speaker, the gravamen of the statement that he's just made certainly can be considered as a matter of urgent public importance. I want to believe that he might have discussed the terms with you for your consideration. And the Speaker, our orders provide that when such a statement is made, it shall be commented on by honorable colleagues for a limited duration of time. I'm happy that the minority leader ended on the note that the Speaker may refer further investigation of this matter to the Committee on Defense and Interior. I think it's most appropriate, because for now, the minority leader is not feeding us with the full particulars of the incident. And I'm not too sure that any of us will be sufficiently close with the facts of the matter. We may be indulging in speculations if we begin to comment, which may not do justice to the issue at stake. The leader is telling us about lawlessness that is being led by the military. The statement that he himself made was to the effect that somebody snatched a phone from a man in mufti. It does appear that that man in mufti perhaps was a military person, and that attracted the response. Mr. Speaker, we must admit to ourselves that there's creeping lawlessness, I wouldn't say led by the military, but led by us civilians, by citizens of this country. Mr. Speaker, and we must own up to that increasingly we are seeing symptoms of discipline in society breaking down. And that cannot be happy news for anybody. We talk about what we see during electioneering campaign periods. Elections are over. And my colleague mentioned Kejetia. Kejetia is notorious for such activities. And whether Kejetia is in Wa or in Dunkwa or Kumasi. Kejetia, so many places have Kejetia. Dunkwa has Kejetia. And when we go there, live in the evening is not sound at all. All manner of pickpocketing going on there, just as happens in Kejetia in Kumasi or Kejetia in Wa. Mr. Speaker, we must live up to our responsibilities. And I believe the security forces, especially the police, must be much more up and doing to respond timeously to these developments.
I got wind of the matter whilst I was in Parliament here yesterday in the evening. I quickly called both the regional minister who was in Accra but on the way to Wa, and also the commanding officer of the unit to find out exactly what the issues were and whether they had officially asked the military to go to town, which they said no. Mr. Speaker, I also got in touch with a member of parliament for West Central, Dr. Rashid Pelpo, who was very helpful in trying for both of us to find a resolution immediately to quell the situation. And so I can report, Mr. Speaker, that yes, it's true. That incident happened yesterday. The military immediately issued a statement this morning condemning what has happened and promising to discipline the officers who did that. They have also sent the chief of Adayana Palace. I believe they are currently at Adayana Palace, Wana Palace, to first of all apologize to the people for what happened. The military's, my brief on the military is that they've had very good standing relationship with the people of Wa in particular, and the people have been very, very helpful in their fight against terrorism and all the things that have gone. So this incident to them is really unfortunate. It shouldn't have happened because, one, it was not sanctioned by the regional minister. It wasn't sanctioned by the commanding officers. Neither was it sanctioned by anybody in Accra. It was a spontaneous reaction of some young men and women in the armed forces who moved to town to do that with some trigger they felt was the issue. As the man said, he says that it's true that the trigger was that the military got a report from one of their colleagues that he was hijacked at a knife point in their yellow trucks and beaten, and his mobile phones and money seized. And based on that triggered them to go and misbehave. So the military used these words that what they did was unprofessional conduct. If you look at the statement they released, they themselves accepted that it was an unprofessional conduct, and they are going to quickly discipline them. I met the CDS and my deputy and the military high command who were in Accra this morning over the incident, as the chief of army staff was on his way to go and immediately make sure that there's no issue. Mr. Speaker, I will not stand in your way if Parliament decides to send a committee to go investigate. It's just that the ministry has quickly also put a small committee from national security, from the defense intelligence, and another person to go there and find out exactly whether there are other remote causes. Because it is simply not a military culture to move to town to molest people. It's not something I've heard before. I know there are several incidents where military men have gone to town to do that, but it is all generated because of other factors. So for that to have happened, I still don't understand. I can't understand why that has happened. So I want them to investigate to the bottom of the matter and find out what really is the problem. Because if we sweep matters behind the carpet, it can create a bigger problem for us. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't have a problem if you decide to do that, but we have already instituted these kind of measures to ensure that that will happen. The military will apologize to the people of Wa for that, and we have identified the people who have been hurt, and we will take care of them as well.
The Committee on Defense and Interior to proceed to investigate, collect and collate the facts and report to the House within 4 weeks. I so direct.
That's the direction given there. Let's now go to Parliament, where Joseph Obuku-Gakpo is joining me live now. Joseph, this is what happened in Parliament. Are the members of the team expected to move immediately? When are they supposed to go to war?
Good afternoon to you. So the indication that we're getting is that, yes, the Defense and Interior Committee, which is actually chaired by the MP for Asin North, Kennedy Japong, and has James Agaga as the ranking member, and as well as the MP for Infantiman as deputy ranking, as vice chair, would actually have to move in immediately. The interesting bit is that the majority leader, Saichi Mensah-Bonsu, had requested that the committee actually be given 2 weeks for them to go through the process and report back to the House with whatever they would find. We gather that they would have to move all the way to Wa, go investigate issues there, if necessary, interact with the military high command and all. But after the deliberations, the Speaker ruled that a period of 4 weeks was rather the more appropriate duration in order for them to be able to gather the necessary details and come to the House with recommendations on what the way forward should be. So yes, we are expecting the members of the committee to move in immediately and begin the necessary investigation into this particular issue.
I don't know if Ejura has come up apart from being linked to military brutality, but if it has, we know that the Vice President is there now, the National Chief Imam as well. Has it come up in any of the conversations? Otherwise, what else is happening in Parliament, Joseph?
Well, it was mentioned as deliberations were ongoing and MPs were complaining about impunity on the part of security agencies, and attention was drawn to it as one of the claimed classic cases of the security agencies, particularly the military, not doing what was expected of them. But there's not been any similar directive as far as the issue having to do with Ejura is concerned. You recall that the minority has repeatedly criticized the idea of having a committee instead of a commission to look into this. But apart from the much attention that Ejura was given 2 days ago when the MP for the area, Brahma Mohammed, delivered a statement on the development there, and MPs made contributions, and there were condemnations and there were calls for action. Nothing more was decided on Ejura as far as the role that Parliament could play in helping deal with the issues as far as that is concerned, except that the MPs, particularly on the Defense and Interior Committee, hinted that they would seek to summon various officials, particularly the police and military hierarchy, to the committee to come deliberate on that particular issue and try to get some answers from them. But there isn't a similar directive in terms of a probe as far as Ejura is concerned.
Well, Joseph, what else is happening in Parliament as we wrap up?
This was the main issue that actually dominated conversations in Parliament today, this whole concern. And the MPs were in there on the minority side with the red armbands on their hands, protesting some of these attacks that have actually come up on the part of the security agencies. Today as well, there was the delivery of what is called the business statement to outline what the House will be dealing with going into the week ahead. The indication that about 18 different questions would see responses from various ministers of state, including 3 urgent ones. Conspicuously still missing is that having to do with the finance minister's responses when it comes to the president's May trips to the various foreign countries, which the MP for Norton, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, has repeatedly demanded that we should see some action on the part of Parliament in terms of getting the finance minister to come respond to. But that was still very much missing on the details as far as the business statement going into next week is concerned. And so the Speaker has adjourned sitting to next week, Tuesday at 2 p.m, when the House would continue deliberations on issues having to do with the development of Ghana here in Parliament.
Joseph, thank you so much for those details there. Joseph Opoku Gakpo is our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent. As you can see there, he's joining us live from Parliament. A lot of conversations or deliberations going on over military brutality, talking about Ejura to Wa. You're still watching The Pulse with me, Gifty and Opia.